of fall. And, you know, fall is a big transition time. You know, this like letting go, right? The trees let go of their leaves. And, you know, by letting go, that's a big way that we make room for new things, right? For growth. And I'll share with you a couple little things that are happening with me. Well, one of them is this, like letting go of kind of this fear of doing something different and allowing myself to be on a computer, online, doing this on Zoom. I mean, it's interesting how we get like panicked over stuff. So this is a big growth kind of day and moment, and same with next week, because they've asked me to sub other classes and I'm like, no, I can't do Zoom. I don't want to do it. And then wait, hello.
Hi.
Hi, is that John maybe?
Yeah.
And Diana?
Yeah, sorry, we have a problem.
Oh no, they have a problem.
The Zoom notification comes in delayed into one of my phones, so I have to always remember to resend it from another phone or computer to my phone that we use for Zoom.
All right, well, you're here now, and that's all that matters. So I was just sharing with the ladies that are here in the room with me, kind of the theme for today, and, you know, it being fall and the letting go, right? The shedding of the leaves and all that, and just having to let go of things, and how by letting go, we're able to make room for growth, right? And I was saying that just doing this Zoom thing is definitely me letting go of some fear and hopefully finding room for growth. But we have a kind of big moment happening in our family today. And this is not going to sound like a big moment to some people, but we have this huge play set that we got when my oldest son was 4, right? And he's 18 now. It's breaking my heart letting this play set go. So someone is coming today who's going to bring it to a home where I'm sure it's going to be loved. They're going to break it down. And I'm really actually very thankful to be here. And this could actually like bring tears to my eyes. I'm really thankful to be here with all of you and not watching that part of my life change. You know, it's a big change. It's a really big change. But you know what? We are moving that play set to make room for other things in our yard that really are more in tune with where we should be. With a 14 and an 18-year-old, you know, sometimes those kids hop on those swings, but we're not growing. We've grown out of that play set, so it's time to move on. So that's true in life. It's true in yoga, right? We find growth with a little bit of discomfort is really true, and as difficult as that is. So we're going to play with that today and maybe, you know, grow a little bit together. So I invite you to close your eyes and sit comfortably. And just start to notice. You know, sometimes we feel right away like we need to shift and we need to fix everything with the way we're sitting. But start to notice. Maybe with some acceptance here as well. Notice your breath. Notice how your body feels. Notice those things that you do when you just sit. I start to clench my jaw. Maybe there's something that you do that you need to release and let go of. Maybe your hips are tight. And we'll start with the breath first. Allowing it to smooth out a little bit and to become deeper. Noticing those pauses between your inhales and your exhales. And notice your sit bones on the mat or on block or blanket beneath you, however you're sitting. Feeling rooted and grounded there. And let's all bring our shoulders up toward our ears and roll them back and down. And inhale, bring your shoulders up to your ears and roll them back and down. And do it 1 or 2 more times if that serves you. And notice maybe the position of your hands changes just a little bit on your legs. You're sitting a little taller. Gently draw your belly in to support the low back. And again, taking notice of your breath. In what way does your rib cage expand? Is it just in the front? Is it front to back? Maybe it expands a little bit more on one side versus the other. And then beginning to breathe more fully, feeling the air fill up equally side to side and front to back. And again, allowing some air into the belly here as well. Taking a moment to think of something maybe that you could let go of in your life. Maybe it's simply accepting the change of the seasons, or something a little bigger that no longer serves you. Or maybe just working on the concept of letting go in your practice. Let your arms come by your sides. Feel free to keep your eyes closed. Let your palms face up to the ceiling, and inhale, reach the arms up overhead. Bring the fingertips together and exhale, draw that energy back in toward you. Nice broad chest. Again, let your hands fall down by your sides and inhale, lift up all that air, pull it together between your palms and exhale, draw that in. Again, hands down by your sides and inhale, reach up. And then we'll twist to the right, bringing that left hand on the knee, right hand behind you. Eyes can flutter open or stay closed. Taking a soft gaze out to the side if the eyes are open. Inhale, unwinding, bringing the arms up. Exhale, twisting to the left, right hand on the knee, left hand behind you, sitting up nice and tall as you twist. And inhale, reach up. Exhale, bring that right hand down next to you, reach up and over with the left fingertips. Relax the right shoulder away from the ear. Finding space and length through your left side. And inhale, come up, and exhale, left hand down, right hand up and over. Relax the left shoulder away from the ear. All right, and reach up nice and tall and bring the hands out in front of you. Start to activate the arms as if you're in down dog and press the hips back, finding some length in the spine. And feel free to shift side to side a little bit here with the head, bringing the head toward each arm. And walk those hands back up. So I'm going to ask you to come onto your backs, and I'm feeling that hopefully John and Diana can see me okay. As you lay down on your back, make sure you have space up over your head, because we will be extending the arms fully behind us. And we'll also be extending the arms out wide as well. So just make sure that you just kind of have space all around you here. So we're going to come down onto your back, setting up for a gentle bridge pose to start. I'll play just a little quiet music here in the studio. All right, so setting up for bridge, planting those feet on the floor, bring your arms down by your sides. So again, feeling grounded through the feet. And as you inhale, press down, lift the hips gently. We don't need to worry about bringing those hips very high. It's early, but I want you to start to feel the muscles activating in the legs, connecting with the breath. All right, with your next inhale, keeping your arms at about shoulder distance, sweep those arms up over your head so the hips are still lifted, and now the arms are behind us. And we're going to start connecting some movement to breath here. So we'll take another inhale here at the top. And as you exhale, let your hips come down and your hands come down by your hips to the mat. And inhale, lift the hips, sweep the arms up overhead. Exhale, hips lower, hands come down. Keep moving like this, finding a pace of your own breath, and maybe enjoying a little pause between each breath and each movement. Maybe bringing the backs of the hands toward the ground. Sometimes that can be quite challenging depending on your shoulder flexibility. Couple more. All right, and after that second one, let those shoulders separate. Bring the soles of the feet together and the knees wide, coming into Supta Baddha Konasana. Feeling the lower back on the floor, pressing the soles of the feet together. Guide those knees back in toward each other. Lift your feet away from the floor. Extend your arms out at your sides. We're going to prepare for a twist here, and now we'll be needing that space in a moment on either side of us. So taking a breath in at the top, and as you exhale, let the knees fall to the right. Left shoulder releasing toward the mat. Your gaze can come slightly to the left. All right, here it comes where we need this space. So again, we take an inhale here. As you exhale, bring that left hand over the body to meet the right hand. Inhale, we're going to sweep that arm up overhead for a half circle. And as you exhale, do the bottom half of the circle, sweeping the hand across the hip. And then here, a nice smooth breath, maybe connecting that inhale and exhale with the inhale at the top. And exhale for the bottom half of the circle as there's a little bit of contraction in the body. So you'll feel this throughout the shoulders, maybe a little bit in the low back and the hip. It just depends. You know, all of different bodies. All right, so finish. Let the back of the left hand return to the floor. Bring those legs back up through center and go ahead and fix your body a little bit. I know I got a little out of whack there, so come back to just neutral here with this knees lifted, feet lifted. Take a breath in and then let those knees fall to the left as you exhale and settle in for a couple breaths, releasing the right shoulder to the floor. Gaze can come slightly to the right. So here, letting go. Sometimes it's hard to release that shoulder to the floor. So without judgment, just directing the breath, encouraging it to release. All right, so we'll take an inhale here. And as you exhale, the right palm will come straight across to meet the left. Inhale, big half circle at the top of the body, top half there. And then as you exhale, bottom half of the circle as the hand sweeps around the hip. Again, connecting this movement with your breath. Moving slowly to really get that full range of motion through the arm. All right, last one. Settle that back of the right hand back down onto the floor. Bring the knees up. All right, now we're going to bring the feet back to the floor. I promise we're coming off of our backs in a moment. Come back into Supta Baddha Konasana here and press your lower back toward the floor. Now we're going to start to activate those abdominals. So if you can, start to lift your shoulders away from the floor. So your shoulders are lifting and your chest is lifting. So we don't want our chin tucked into our chest, but the shoulders are off the floor. No abdominal takers here. I bet John and Diana are doing it. And then we're going to start to reach side to side with our hands, tapping our calves. I read once that activating the abdominals early in class makes us more aware. So I don't know if that's true or not, but I find it kind of interesting. All right, and lower down. Draw those knees in. Give yourself a little hug. Rock and roll the length of your spine a few times if it feels good. And we'll come all the way up and through, and we'll find our tabletop. So right into tabletop. Can you hear the music a little bit? I don't want it to be too loud, but all right. So setting up for your cat-cow, gripping the mat with the hands. Oh, now John and Diane are much bigger. That's much better. All right. Okay, so grip the mat, draw the shoulders away from the ears. Inhale, pull the heart forward, let the belly drop. Exhale, press down through the hands, rounding, lifting the belly to the ceiling. And here, finding your own pace. Keep going, a few more rounds. All right, and coming to a neutral spine. let's lift and extend the right leg behind us. So right leg is straight as if you're pressing into the floor, pressing into the wall, lifting the belly up. So if I had my hand on your lower back, you're kind of trying to lift your lower back toward my hand. And then if it's part of your practice, you can lift that left hand and extend it out. If you need a little extra support, the left hand can rest out in front of you with fingertips on the ground. Breathing here, finding that smooth, calm, steady breath. All right, we're gonna keep that right leg lifted and bring our left hand down to the floor. Bend that right leg. We're gonna do some little pulses here to wake up those glute muscles. So a lot of us are doing a lot of sitting, so this helps wake those up. All right, and pause. And then we're just gonna bring that right knee down to float above the mat, but bringing it in line with the left. And then do some little fire hydrants here, lifting that right leg in and out. Trying not to collapse on the left side, right? We start to fall to the left just a little bit. All right, now lift that leg. We're almost there, and extend that leg straight. And maybe pulse it here just a couple times. This is it, we're almost there. And sweep it all the way across over the left leg and bring those toes to the ground. Finally, relief, and we'll gaze out over the left shoulder. So you should get a nice stretch in that right side here. All right, lift and bring that right knee back down to the mat and reset. Check the alignment of your table, and we'll extend the left leg straight back, inner thigh turning up toward the ceiling. So again, imagine my hands on your lower back and try to kind of press up into it. And then extending the right arm forward or bringing those right fingertips down to the mat if you need to. Okay, that right hand will return to the mat. We're gonna bend the left leg and just do some little pulses here, like you're trying to hold and press something important to you straight up to the ceiling. All right, pause. And now that left knee is coming down. We're gonna let it kind of float up above the mat and then do our little fire hydrants here, lifting and lowering the left knee. Good way to warm up those hips. All right, so lift that left knee up. Now extend the arm straight. We'll all try to not collapse onto that right arm and then pulse it here. A few times, we're almost there. And lift it and cross it over the right leg. For that nice relief, toes down on the ground, and you can gaze over your right shoulder toward your foot. And lift that leg, bring the knee back down. We're gonna come to a quick seat here, working a little bit more with the hips. So I don't know if you're all familiar with pinwheel pose. We're gonna get there in a moment. I find it interesting because I find it really uncomfortable. But we're gonna do it at the beginning of class and then play around with our hips a little bit more and see what happens at the end. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna bring you all into pinwheel pose, then I'm gonna pop up and turn these fans on, okay? All right, so pinwheel pose, we're taking our right leg parallel to the top of our mat, and then you're gonna lean onto that hip a little bit and take your left leg parallel to the side of your mat. So you can probably see me, I'm already kind of falling over to the side. Elise looks like this is easy peasy for her. I can't even get my one hip on the floor. So settle in there a little bit, just kind of feel, let it release. Let me turn these fans on for those who are in studio. I started getting warm with those fire hydrants. Okay. So some look fairly comfortable, some not quite as comfortable. All right, so let's go ahead and switch sides and just see what happens, because it's always kind of interesting, right, how we differ so much from side to side. So we have that left leg parallel to the top, right foot, and feel free to use your hands for a little support here too if this really is not comfortable for you. We're about half and half at comfort here, I think. Myself being part of the half that is not comfortable. All right, so let's come out of that. We'll extend both legs forward. We're gonna get nice straight legs here. Come into staff pose. So we need to engage the abdominals here too. So bring your hands behind you. And everyone's a little different. Some of us can bring our hands flat. It just depends on the, proportion of our torso to our arms. So if you can get those hands flat, roll the shoulders back, lift up. And then we're gonna extend the arms just straight ahead here. sitting well. All right, now we're gonna come into baby cradle. So lifting the right leg. And now if this is comfortable, if you have the strength to sit with this left leg extended, go ahead and keep it extended. If you need a little support, feel free to bend it and bring it in. All right, so our left hand's at the outside of the foot, right hand's on the knee, and we'll just move around a little bit here with this leg, just starting to loosen up through the hip. Making sure we're not pulling on the ankle, right? We wanna try to keep a nice 90-degree angle from the foot and the leg, so we're not pulling on any of the tendons and muscles that travel up to our knee. All right, is anybody able to go into baby cradle here? If you're not, don't worry about it. Wherever you are, maybe even the hands come behind the leg. And now this might be a little easier to bend this leg. And we're gonna take our right hand out to our side and just find that sweet spot. Yeah, and you don't need to go all the way. You could stay exactly where you were, right? And if you're not going deeper, that left hand can be on the foot. Did anyone find that little spot? No? You don't have the spot? It's not really sweet. It's kind of uncomfortable. You need to roll over and look for it. We all have a little spot. I think it's our piriformis. No? Okay, sometimes we don't find it. All right, so let's come out of this side. Extend both legs forward again. Come back into staff pose. Sit nice and tall and straight. Lifting the belly. Just keep pulling those ribs in. And we'll see what happens with baby cradle on this side. And again, bend that knee if you need to.
With the spot we're looking for, is it supposed to be like a landing spot? Like you find it,
It's uncomfortable. Yeah, it's uncomfortable. I said sweet spot, but I don't know. It's a little sour, and it's usually a little more sour on one side, so it's always kind of interesting. All right. And for me, it's my right side. Maybe come a little deeper just for a couple breaths if that works for you. You don't need to stay deep when we lean over. I know I always say back, I remember being in a class of Kathy's a long time ago. She was one of the previous owners. I don't know if you were here, Bryn. And okay, so now you can either stay wrapped or maybe just take your right hand to that foot, take your left hand out to the side. And she had us put a tennis ball here. So that's interesting. Now this side, I don't feel as much on this side, but some people are more tender on this side.
no, I don't feel much the other side.
You felt it, right? Yeah, yeah. Well, we all know that whichever side it was worse on, it's probably the side we need to spend a little more time on. All right, so everyone come out of that, come back to your hands, come back to tabletop, and then scoop those knees back a few inches and tuck your toes and lift your knees up above the floor. So they call this bear pose. This is a nice abdominal pose. And then stretch those legs back into a high plank and lift up and back into downward facing dog. And pedal it out. Find a little freedom of movement. Yeah, pedal the knees, shift front to back, side to side. There's no wrong or right way here, just whatever your body's asking for. All right, let's all bring our feet a little bit wider and a little bit closer to our hands. So we're narrowing our down dog from front to back and widening our feet just a little bit. And just let those sit bones lift up. And put a soft bend in your knees and walk your hands back toward the back of your mat. Keep that soft bend in the knees. Come into ragdoll pose, grabbing opposite elbows. So really, I'm going to stand up here so my voice travels a little bit better. So really trying to let go here. Release through the hamstrings. Try to breathe into those hamstrings. And imagine you're in child's pose and your chest is coming toward your thighs as it would in child's pose. And now I encourage you to take the opposite grip of your elbow. So whichever arm is on top, switch it out so it feels a little awkward. And then settle back in to your ragdoll pose. All right, release the hands, bring the hands to the hips. You can keep that soft bend in the knees and root down, rise up. Let's stretch the arms up, get nice and tall, and release the hands. Beautiful. Okay. So some of us here in the studio are pretty close to the wall. If you think that'll be an issue throughout class, lifting a foot or anything, feel free to pull your mat away from the wall a little bit. And we'll all meet at the top of the mat. If anybody needs a sip of water right now, this is a good time to do it. Okay. All right, so we'll start with the sun A, and then we'll move on a little bit from here. So standing well at the top of your mat, roll those shoulders back, root down through the legs. Can let the eyes close for a moment. And then as you root down through the legs, inhale, stretch the arms up, gazing up, hinging at the hips, folding forward, Uttanasana. Hands can be on the floor, on your block. And then we'll take the hands to the shins, Ardha Uttanasana. Inhale, lifting halfway, lifting the heart. Exhale and fold. Bend your knees, step both feet back, high plank. From high plank, let's all lower down to our knees. Draw those elbows in toward our sides, keeping the abdominals strong as we lower slowly down to our bellies. Toes untuck, all 10 toes pressing into the mat as you inhale into Cobra. And lowering down. Let's do that 2 more times. Inhale, lengthening as you lift. Exhale, lowering. Last one, inhale, lengthen, toes are down. Exhale, lower. You can come right into downward dog or transition, maybe take a quick child's pose first, and then lift up to down dog. Once you arrive in down dog, we'll stay there for about 3 breaths. Trying to release. At the bottom of your next exhale, traveling lightly to the top of your mat, however you choose to arrive. Inhale, lift halfway, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, Uttanasana, and inhale, rise up, Urdhva Hastasana, get nice and tall, and exhale, release those hands down. All right, so in our quest today to release our hips a little bit more, we're gonna just do a little bit of dynamic movement here. So we're gonna bring the feet a little bit wider, turn those toes out. So this is gonna feel a little bit like Malasana, but we're not going as deep and we're not holding it. It's almost gonna be kind of like a Malasana squat with some movement, and then we're gonna add in a little balance after we do a few. So this will be our inhale. Those arms will stretch up nice and tall. Make sure that your toes and your knees are in line. So again, breathing in, exhale, hands can come together and we squat. So we're not going deep. Using those strong legs, inhale, rise up. Exhale, lower. So as we're moving here, I want you to start to feel the hips, because a lot of times our hips get a little weak. That causes our knees to collapse in. So I really want you to think about keeping those knees in line with the toes as you do this. Okay, now an option here, if you should want to take it, when you rise up, maybe you lift onto your toes. And then we lower down again with the heels down, and we lift and we lower. Just a little balance challenge to add it, make it a little more fun, maybe a little more uncomfortable, if you will. And we'll finish up. Let's do one more. And rise up, maybe hold onto your toes. And lower down and shake it out. I would say shake it out mentally and physically. Don't let that get stuck in your head. Okay, so it seems like we all pretty much have blocks. Tracy, I don't know if you want your block. Maybe just keep it close by at the top of the mat if you think you might need it. All right, so we'll have those blocks handy. I know Sandy said that at home. I think you have blocks. I can't quite tell, but all right. So nice strong Tadasana at the top of the mat. Inhale, stretching up. Exhale, forward fold. All right, we'll inhale, lifting halfway through our Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale and fold. Bend the knees, simply step the left foot back. So just the left foot is coming back. We're going to settle here into this low runner's lunge for a moment. So imagine you have a weight on your hips and they're heavy, so the hips are starting to come down a little bit, and you'll start to feel that stretch in the front of the left leg. But then resist a little bit by pressing that left thigh up. So there's not much movement, but a lot of action in the body. All right, and we'll take our left hand to the floor to a block and reach our right arm up, twisting open toward that right leg. Trying to root down through the right hip and lift the left hip up. Both hands come to the floor. We'll lower that left knee to the floor, walking the hands up, setting up for Anjaneyasana, reaching the arms up. So if it suits you, you can start to let the hips come a little bit further forward. And then let's cactus our arms here. So if you can, gaze up at the ceiling, but either way, we're finding a nice broad chest. All right, coming back to neutral. So I want a nice neutral leg and a neutral spine. So this will be our inhale, getting nice and broad through the chest. And as you exhale, drawing the forearms together and tucking the chin. You should feel a nice stretch in the upper back. Inhale, open up, root through that front foot for stability. Exhale, bring it in. Inhale, open. Last one, exhale, bring it in. Stretch the arms up tall. And we're gonna come into half splits here. So bringing the hands to the floor or to your blocks, grab those blocks if you'd like them. Scoot the right heel forward and hands come down toward the floor. So one thing I was noticing in my own practice, a lot of times, even when I'm bowing forward in these poses, I'm kind of doing this thing where I'm trying to go deeper and I'm rounding like that. So I'm trying to draw my shoulders down my back and lead with my chest. And just, it's energetically makes it feel a little bit different. Okay, we're gonna drag that foot back in. Come back up, and this might seem a little awkward. We're gonna take this right foot out to the side so my heel is in line with my knee. But then I'm walking that foot a little further out. So you see I have a little space where my foot is a little bit past my knee. So this is gonna open up in here. Again, our quest to get open hips. So we're gonna be going side to side a little bit. So you get this kind of nice kind of groin stretch here. It's awkward at first. Hopefully everyone has as much cushion on their knee as they need. Doing okay? Okay. You can always put a hand on your thigh, you know, play around with what feels more stable. Last one. All right. And we can bring the hands down and we'll come through table and up into down dog. Pedal all that out a little bit. All right, you can stay in down dog. If you'd like a vinyasa, go ahead and rock forward, coming into plank. Remember, those knees can come down, lowering through cobra, only if you're choosing this option, taking whatever you need. Looks like we all want a vinyasa, that's great. And we'll come back into down dog. Once you get there, we'll take a couple more breaths. Not great because we all wanted to work. Great that we were all on the same page, that's nice. All right, we'll lift onto the toes, exhaling completely and lightly traveling to the top of the mat, forward fold. Hands onto those shins, inhale, lifting halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise up, stretch the arms up. And exhale, release those hands. So I think we all do have those blocks at the top of the mat. We're gonna add something in before we come into the second side. Actually, we're gonna add two things in. One of them being a chair pose, a pose that many find discomfort in. I like to bring my toes together, but you come into chair however feels best for your knees and your body. We'll start with the hands. Actually, we'll start with the hands in front of the heart. I like this because it reminds us to keep a nice open chest and it helps to engage that center line of the body. And we'll lower into our chair. So hugging in, lifting the belly, pulling the ribs in, making sure we don't have too much curve in the low back or too much rounding. We want to think neutral spine. Okay, if you're clenching your jaw, release it. You're smushing up your face, release it. I'm always clenching my jaw and extend your arms. I always say I wear a mouth guard and it's like I'm like a dog with a chew toy on that thing in the middle of the night to replace it a lot. All right. One more big breath. Maybe go deeper, more discomfort because you can. And then fold forward and bring those feet back to hip distance. Now, some of us might want to block here. We're just taking our hands and walking them to the right. So somewhere toward, in the direction of the outside of that right foot. And to center, and to our left. And to center. Let's do an Ardha Uttanasana here. So bring the hands to the shins. Inhale, lift. Exhale, fold, knees bend. Right foot steps back. Okay, so first working here with the hands on the mat, keeping the back knee lifted and letting the hips be heavy to the point where you start to feel an opening in the front of the right leg. So Bren, careful on that front knee for me. It's kind of turning out. And resist pressing the right side of the ceiling. Very nice. And we'll lower that right knee down. Oh, we didn't do our twist. We didn't do our twist, right? Didn't we do that here? Lift it back up, bring the hand to the floor and open up to the left. Lift that left arm up. Rooting down through the left hip, reaching up through the right hip. And left hand comes to the floor. Now we'll lower the right knee down. Walk the hands up, setting up for Anjaneyasana. Arms reach up. So checking in, keeping a neutral spine here at first. Tailbone reaching down, crown of the head reaching up. Maybe we start to come forward a little bit. And we'll cactus the arms. If you like to do a back bend here, you can start to lift the heart, maybe gaze up. And we'll come back to a neutral spine. Stack that ankle and knee again here on the front leg. Take a breath in, get nice and broad through the chest. And as we exhale, we'll bring the forearms together and tuck the chin. Inhale, open up. Exhale, bring it in. Inhale, open. Exhale in. Inhale, open up. Stretch the arms up and bring the hands down to the floor. We'll find half splits here, so if you need your blocks, get those. Extend your left foot forward. And again, trying to release, trying to let go, bowing over the leg. All right, easy coming out of it, drag that heel back, and we'll start to walk the hands up. And then this is where we pivot this left foot out to the side. So the heel's coming in line with the right knee, and then we're bringing that foot past the knee onto the side. That way we have a better range of motion to protect that knee. And start moving. Right hand can be on the hip, left hand can be on the leg. This is a good just general mobility type of thing. All right, couple more, nice. And bring the hands down, just kind of work that knee back in. We'll come through table and up to high plank. All right, from high plank, we're gonna lower down onto our forearms, finding a forearm plank. If you can keep those arms in an 11 shape and star out your hands, you can always bring your knees down and lift them back up. We're just gonna take a few breaths here. And slowly lower the knees, untuck the toes, and we'll come right into Sphinx pose. Pulling the heart forward, stretching out the abdomen, little back bend. All right, and lift up and back, down dog. We're gonna come into some more standing poses, so pedal it out here, or find stillness, whatever you need. And we'll all find stillness for a breath as we turn the inner thighs back, lift the hips, and then inhale, lift our right leg up nice and tall, bending the knee and stacking the hip. 3-leg down dog. Square the hips, extend the right leg straight, bring the right knee into the nose and step it between the hands. Back heel comes to the floor, warrior 2 alignment of the feet, heel to heel to arch alignment, coming up. Gazing out gently over your right hand. All right, we're all gonna bring our hands onto our hips right here. So we should all be facing the left side of our own mat, the long end, and then we're gonna take our right hand onto our thigh. And I want you to remind that knee to press open so that you can see your big toe, because that often turns in because of either hip inflexibility or a little bit of hip weakness. And then turn and have your shoulders facing that left side of your mat. Now extend the arms open. Try to keep all that and only gaze out over that right hand. Breathing into it, remembering to use that back leg as well. And now we're going to reach forward a little bit with our right hand, flip our palm, and then reverse our warrior. Try to keep that depth in the front knee. As long as you don't have an injury, a little muscular discomfort is okay. And then straighten that front leg, reverse triangle, little break here. And back to warrior 2. Now let's bring those hands behind our back. Interlace your hands, Humble warrior 2. You've got this. Keep that front knee in a good alignment and bow forward. Keeping your bind and bringing your hands to your hips, then releasing your bind, bringing your hands to the inner edge of that right foot. Walk your hands to the left and parallel your feet for Prasarita Padottanasana. Wide forward fold. Again, letting go, releasing. All right, checking in with the stability of the legs, maybe narrowing the stance because we're going to come up to standing from here. Bring the hands to the hips and inhale, rise up. All right, so from here, we're turning the heels in toward each other, setting up for goddess pose. So we're going to start to bend the knees with the hands on the hips. Now, what I don't want is anyone to go so deep that you start to feel your knees collapse in. I'd rather you're up a little higher and those knees are in a good, strong alignment. And then bring the hands in front of the heart. Breathing. If this is enough for you, stay right here. If you want to try something a little different, maybe a little more uncomfortable, you can lift the right heel and lower it down. And if you did that side, may as well try the left side. Lift that left heel if you're doing this and lower it down. And maybe you lift both heels and release. Straighten the legs, star pose. And step the feet together to the top of the mat and shake it out. All right. We started a little late. Now we're short. I feel like we're short on time. Okay, so settling back into the top of the mat quickly. Tadasana mountain pose. Inhale, stretch up. Exhale, folding. Inhale, lifting halfway, Ardha. Exhale, fold, bend the knees, step back. Let's step right to down dog so we can get into the second side. Taking a moment to notice how different this feels from your first down dog. And then inhale, lift that left leg up, bend the knee, stack the hips, 3-leg down dog. Trying to reach the knee toward the wall behind you, staying lifted through the right shoulder. Inhale, square the hips, extend the left leg. Exhale, bring the knee toward the nose and step it between the hands. Setting up for warrior 2. When you're ready, lifting up. We'll all meet here. All right, so we're going to set up that alignment again. So we'll bring the left hand onto the hip, right hand onto the hip, left hand to the inner thigh. And then as you press that thigh open, so you can see the big toe on the front foot, square your shoulders to the right side of your mat. Lift the belly, and then extend the arms, and simply gaze out in front of your left hand. Hopefully nothing changed in the lower half of the body, just the gaze. Firmly planting the right foot into the floor. Reaching forward, flipping your palm, reversing your warrior. Trying to keep that depth in the front leg. Breathing through any discomfort. And then we'll straighten that leg, coming into reverse triangle, giving it a little break. And back into your warrior 2. Interlace the hands, maybe interlace them the weird way, that opposite thumb on top. Nice big breath. And bowing into your humble warrior. All right, keeping the hands bound, bring them down toward the hips, release the bind. You bring the hands to the inside of the foot and we'll take a quarter turn to our right. Feet are parallel, Prasarita Padottanasana, wide forward fold. This time we're going to take a different version. So you can begin to walk your left hand forward. Then begin to look underneath the left arm. And your right hand can walk toward the left leg. So the right hand's coming underneath the left side, taking a hold hopefully somewhere on that left leg, and then twisting, turning, looking underneath the left arm. All right, slowly releasing that side. Extend that right arm way out, look underneath the right arm. And then your left hand walks underneath, finding the left leg, maybe just finding that left big toe or somewhere near the left foot. All right, release. Walk the hands in under the shoulders. Inhale, lifting halfway. And exhale, fold. Again, checking the stability of the legs. Maybe you need to heel toe them a little closer together. Hands come on the hips. Inhale, rise up. All right, so we're going to turn these heels in one more time for goddess pose. Hands can come in front of the heart and begin to lower the hips down. And this time, maybe we move just side to side a little bit and then settle in. All right, we're going to take our hands onto our thighs. So your inhale will be here at center. Your exhale will be a little dip of the shoulder. And then inhale is back to center. Other exhale, dip of the other shoulder. Got this? Okay. Make sure those knees don't start to collapse in. All right, come to center, hands in front of the heart, straighten the legs, star pose, and release the hands and step those feet together and shake it out. Okay, so we are definitely coming to the end here. So let's flow down to the mat. We'll do supine pigeon, and then let's revisit that pinwheel pose, and we'll see if it feels any different. Okay. Because a lot of the things we do, and I'm sure Sandy has said this, but a lot of things we don't think of as hip openers actually are, and they're warming up that whole area. So, all right, so nice strong mountain pose. Inhale, stretch up. Exhale, folding. Inhale, lifting halfway. Exhale, fold, bend the knees, step back, high plank. And we'll lower the knees down and come to first Baddha Konasana. We'll bring the soles of the feet together before we come down onto our backs. The soles of the feet together, sitting up tall. And then when you're ready, beginning to bow forward. So same thing here, trying not to round too much through the shoulders. You can let the head come down, but try to relax the shoulders away from the ears. One more breath here. And we'll rise up, release, and come onto your backs. I'm going to grab a quick sip of water before we come onto our backs. Feel free to do it as well. All right. And we'll do a couple bridge poses here too. So you shouldn't need your blocks right now. We'll come down onto your back. All right. And we're going to set up for bridge. We're going to come into supine pigeon from bridge pose. So pressing down through the feet. Inhale, lift the hips away from the floor. Because some of this is warming up this whole part of the body as well. All right, this won't last for very long, but start to shift the weight into the left foot and lift the right leg and extend it so the knees are in line. You're gonna feel a lot going on in that left leg. Now we're crossing the right ankle over the left leg. Keep the hips lifted for a breath if you can. And we'll slowly lower those hips back to the earth. Lift the left foot away from the floor. Supine pigeon time. So we'll put the right hand in the opening of the legs. Left hand wraps around the outside, either binding at the hamstring, or if you want to go a little deeper, binding below the knee on the shin. Checking in, smooth breath, relaxed jaw. All right, release the left foot to the floor. We're gonna release the bind, but keep that right ankle crossed. And bring your arms out to your sides. And then the knees will come to the left, or excuse me, to the right, knees coming to the right for a twist. Now, if this hurts your knee or anything weird is going on in your body, please uncross that foot and stack your knees and your ankles. All right, we're gonna come back up, cross that right leg all the way so our thighs are touching, okay? Almost like eagle legs, but we don't have to wrap the right foot. And now bring the knees to the left. And come on up. Uncross the right leg. Bring those arms back by your side. I'm going to set up for that second bridge pose. So bring the feet hip distance right in line with the hip bones. Arms by your sides. Inhale, press down as you begin to slowly lift the hips away from the floor. So chest is lifting. We have a nice space between our chin and our chest. Gently drawing the back of the skull into the mat. Starting to shift the weight a little bit into that right foot so you can lift and extend your left leg. Maybe keeping the knees in line makes it a little more difficult. Then cross the left ankle over the right thigh and keep the hips lifted and breathe. And slowly release the hips to the floor. Right foot comes off of the floor, left hand in that opening for supine pigeon, wrapping the hands around. Right. Release the bind of the hands and let the right foot come to the floor. Extend your arms out wide at your sides and let the knees fall to the left. So we're trying to keep that ankle crossed over the thigh if we can. Again, if it causes you discomfort, uncross and let the knees and the ankles stack. All right, and we'll come back up, cross that left leg more deeply and bring the knees to the right. A little bit of a different hip and lower back stretch here. And come on up, uncross, and you can either rock and roll your way to a seat or roll onto one side and come up that way. So I guess the big question right now, and I don't even know, John and Diana, can I hear you? Are you on mute? Okay, we'll do a thumbs up thing. Does everyone here have an extra 5 minutes, or do we need to be done right at 5 minutes? Tracy, do you have an extra 5 minutes? John and Diana, yes or no? Do you have an extra, yes? Okay, cool. We're gonna, 10 minutes. We got 15 minutes. Who says 20? All right, we're definitely going an extra 5 for sure. Okay. So before we even come into this crazy pinwheel pose, and if you need to grab a blanket to be more comfortable sitting, go ahead. We're gonna take our right hand up, and we're gonna do a little shoulder and arm opener first. So our right hand is straight up, right in line with our ear, hinging that and bringing the hand behind us. Now, we're not going into full cow face pose, and we're not even gonna try to bind right here unless you're super open. But you're not all going to look like me. You might even be here, possibly. Not that that's wrong, it's just if your shoulder is really tight. But what I want is you to draw your ears into your arm so that you feel this engagement in the back of the neck. And you have a nice, your chin is in line and everything here is in a neutral alignment in the neck. Then we start to draw those ears back and right, we start to push out our ribs. So pull the ribs in. Now we're taking our left hand out in front of us and wrapping it around. Now, if you're really open and you want to hold on to that hand, go ahead. Or just keep the hand down by your lower back. We're thinking more posture here than how close those hands get together. And just breathe into it. This is really nice if you're sitting in front of a computer or feeling like you're rounding a lot through the shoulders. And breathe. I make my children do this. All right, and release and shake it out. It's kind of a intense, but kind of nice. All right, so left arm comes up and we'll hinge the elbow. So again, you might be out here, that's okay. And just start to draw those ears back. And again, I push my ribs out, so I know I need to pull my ribs in, extend the right arm out, and we'll start to rotate. So the thumb starts up and then it starts to rotate as you draw the hand behind you. And again, you can be at your lower back. You can reach up if you're feeling it. But even here, you should be able to feel a little bit of a stretch in that right shoulder as well. Couple more breaths, stick with it. And release, shake all that out. Okay. So hopefully we feel like we're sitting a little taller. All right, let's revisit pinwheel. Let's see what happens. And You can have a block near you at the top of your mat, because we're going to have a little option because we're going to be folding forward a little bit in our pinwheel this time. And you can either take your foot, your hand to your foot, or your block to your foot. So take your block, at least one block to the left of your mat. I guess I have this one. All right, so that right leg comes parallel again. Left leg comes parallel to the outside of the mat. I don't know how different I feel, but you know, it's all right. Okay, so trying to sit up tall and using those hands if you need to. So we're trying to be neutral here, not feeling like we're falling over, even if we kind of are. So we can use our right hand to help us sit straight. Does it hurt your foot? It did that on the other side for me. Yeah. Yeah, I need to have mine on my mat, I think. Okay, so now we're going to start to scoot these hands forward, and some of us might stop right here, and this is enough. If that's too much, you can even have your hands on your blocks as you come forward. All right, now, if you want to play and experiment a little bit more, you can take your block to the outside of your foot and really begin to press into that foot with the hand, or just the hand can come onto the foot as well. So this is probably something a lot of us haven't done. So it might take a little trial and error to see what's most beneficial for you. I feel it in my back, but I have open hips and a tight back. You know, a lot of people probably feel this in their hip. That's what's tricky sometimes about yoga. It's not, we don't always all feel it, but by pressing into my foot, I feel it more in my hip. Do you feel it in your hip?
Yeah, right in here.
Yeah, I kind of feel it back there too. All right, let's carefully come up and carefully come out of this awkwardness, and we'll switch sides. All right. All right, so here we are, pinwheel pose, second side, second round. So again, we're trying to sit straight to the best of our ability. It can be uncomfortable just noticing how imbalanced we are too from side to side. Your hips are essentially in line, but what I never want to encourage is us torquing our body in a weird way to try to make something happen that doesn't want to. But by having your legs in this kind of parallel position, they're almost in a neutral, but if you're really tight and this hurts you to go this way, then you just have to accept that you're going to be a little bit turned. But in a perfect pinwheel world, I guess we would all be straightforward. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay, and we'll start to walk forward. So remember, you can stop with the hands on the blocks. This side is different. You can bring that left hand down. You can press into the foot with the hand. You can maybe create a little something different and press into the foot with the block. Just depends. All right, slowly make your way up. All right, and we will finish. We need to really finish, so we will come onto our backs, and let's finish with a happy baby pose and a little twist and work out some of that weirdness. So we'll come down onto our backs and lift the feet away from the floor. Take the knees wide and pull your knees wide with your hands. So your hands are in your shins, and you're pulling those knees wide. And I really want you to feel this nice grounding on the lower back, especially if you're someone who kind of gets an angry lower back. This should feel nice after some of that weird twisting we just did. Now from here, we'll keep those knees wide, lift our feet toward the ceiling, preparing for happy baby. So if you're someone who can't usually reach your feet, you can simply wrap your hands around and touch the backs of your legs. Or you can take your arms to the insides of the legs, maybe find the big toe with the peace fingers, or you reach all the way around and find the outside edge of the feet. And if you want to rock your baby around a little bit, feel free to move side to side. If you're someone who can kind of straighten and bend the legs here, you can do that as well. Definitely a little easier to do that if you have the big toes. And just for a little bit, find a baby where you can have that back down. And release the feet, bring them to the floor. Bring your feet a little wider and let your knees knock into touch. and bring your arms wide. So I'm going to offer you a twist from here, but please, if there's another twist that will benefit you more, please take it. And we're just going to start to windshield wiper our knees from side to side first here. So we're just going side to side. A little bit of dynamic movement first. And then whichever side you're on next, let the knees stay there. And just take a few breaths. Start to let the eyes close. And we'll bring the knees up through center and switch sides. Let the knees fall the opposite way. And bring the knees up. If there's anything else you need to do for a moment here preparing for Shavasana, please feel free to do that. We all have blocks. It might feel nice to have your blocks under your thighs or under your knees. It helps ground the lower back. Take some time. Let yourself settle in. Just even give yourself permission to rest. Take a soft breath in through your nose and a soft sigh out of the mouth. One more time, soft breath in through the nose and a sigh out of the mouth. And explore letting your mouth stay slightly open that way with an unclenched jaw, tongue floating in the mouth away from the roof of the mouth. Softening through the scalp, smoothing out the forehead in between the eyes. Feeling a little heavier, a little more relaxed with each exhale. Enjoying the quiet in your mind, the stillness of your body, and the ease of your breath as you let go. Letting your breath deepen naturally. And with each inhale, inviting in the new energy, the new life, the new opportunities. With each exhale, releasing what no longer serves you. can be a nice image as you come out of Shavasana, imagining this bright light, almost like a golden light as you breathe in. And then just kind of exhaling, releasing whatever doesn't feel quite so bright. And begin to find some gentle movements. Move the hands and the feet. Begin to move freely, stretching. When you're ready, bending the knees, pulling them in toward you. Giving yourself a little hug and massaging your back. Side to side, front to back, maybe little circular motions in each direction. And with the knees drawing in, gently rolling over onto your right side. Rest your head on your arm, and that left arm can relax at your side or come out in front of you for a little support. Begin to gently bring yourself up to a seat. Closing your eyes as you arrive, hands in front of the heart. Taking one more moment here as your mind is quiet to think about what you need to let go of. It can be really hard to let go. By letting go, we make room for the new. Those new, beautiful opportunities. My deepest gratitude to each and every one of you for taking time out of your Saturday to share your practice with everyone in the room and everyone not in the room. Take a big breath in. And exhale. You can bow to honor yourself and your practice. Namaste. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.